on track now, we've got our Race IQ B group making their way through for their warm-up lap. And it was the riders Tommy Sayer and Sean Rogerson that promoted themselves up to this group from race 1 in our C's. So they will start from the back of the grid in this one. But again, this was some really close racing in race 1. So we will wait for these riders on the grid, and there they are. There's a 97 of Dax Almond just getting his whole shot device popped on. Alongside him is the 58 of Craig Forshaw. So this race is brought to you by Race IQ. They are developing an app where you can get all your race data on there and be able to use that to your advantage. So we'll get all these riders into position. See there in the background, there is the 63 of Kevin Crowthers there on board that Bathmate machine. There's the 59 of Dan Billum, our current novice championship leader on board that KTM. So we'll see if he's able to gain a further advantage here and more points for that novice championship. There is the 138, so that is actually Harvey Ward. So he's on the borrowed bike from teammate Paul Groom there, and he will be starting this one in 4th place on that second row. So we'll get these riders under order. And away they go. So we watch these riders fly off the start, heading down towards Mere Hairpin.
So on towards Mere Hairpin they go then for the first time, and that's the 101 machine of Neil Meerlin who takes the reins on this race as they go through the bottom end of the paddock then, and a quick step up into the upper half of the paddock, and everybody through safely, which is good stuff there. Ollie Sims is in around about 5th or 6th position.
Cracking start there for the number 26 of Mike Norbury. So he started in 7th place on this race, and he's already promoted himself up to 2nd. So really great start there for the number 26. So he's chasing down the 101 of Meelan. Then it is the 58 of Craig Forshaw there in 3rd place. And it looks like we've got the 59 of Dan Billum there chasing down that top 4 as they head into the off-road.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, we said earlier in race number 1 for these guys that Mike Norbury has had a lot of success here at Oliver's Mount in the road racing, but it's great to see him right up there fighting for those top 2 transfer promotional positions in this British Supermoto Championship as well. But Neil Meerlin looks as though he's pulled the pin already on this opening lap on bike 101 as he looks to open up his leading advantage, coming around Farm Bends to complete lap number 1.
Yeah, it's looking like a very comfortable advantage there for the number 1 of Neil Meerlin as he comes across the line there in front of the 26 of Mike Norbury. So Norbury with a non-typical Supermoto style, but we've got a big gaggle there, and that looks like a battle for 3rd place there with Craig Forshaw and Dax Almond as they made their way into Mere Hairpin. So it is Meerlin from Norbury, then we have the 58 of Forshaw, then Billum, and it looks like we've had a pass for 7th place, so Ollie Sims promoting himself there up in front of the 138 of Harvey Ward on that last lap. So see them here, there is Sims in front of now Dax Almond, so another great pass there up to 6th place.
Into the dirt section, and we're looking at our leading 2 then, and Neil Meerlin had a 1.3 second advantage over the 26 of Mike Norbury, but as they make their way through this left-hander into the option line, both Neil Meerlin and Mike Norbury going for the outside to inside. 3rd position of Craig Forshaw goes inside then outside, so we'll see which one appears to pay off for 2nd and 3rd. But in the meantime, a little bit of a kick from the rear wheel again from the 101 of Neil Meerlin as it looks as though he opens up his advantage a little bit over Mike Norbury through that dirt section.
Yeah, Meerlin seemingly able to get the power down a little bit better on that Goon Squad Racing Husqvarna in comparison to the 26 of Mike Norbury there. But then it is a little bit of a way back to Forshaw. But on that last lap, it was the 26 of Mike Norbury who managed a fastest lap with a 1:16.512. So he's definitely keeping the pressure on Neil Meerlin as they make their way up into this paddock section, hopping themselves up over that banking and then heading towards this tight chicane area.
It's the tarmac where Norbury really gains on Neil Meerlin, isn't it? But he just manages to stretch it out a little bit more in the Trips UK dirt section as well, does Neil Meerlin. So we'll keep an eye on it. It's very much 6 of one, half a dozen of the other over the full lap between our leading 2. But you know that Mike Norbury earlier on, he certainly got used to overtaking in that first race. He'll be looking to do it again in this one. as at the moment he is in that transfer position.
He does, and he definitely is a lot closer on this passing as they make their way into the off-road section. Both opt in for that outside to inside line up the step up. And we can see there we've got some spectators. A mistake there from Norbury as he makes his way up that step up, so that allows Meelan just a little bit of breathing room as they head towards Farm Bends.
This is where Mike Norbury does make up the time, though, through the left and back up over to the right-hand side as they come out of Farm Bends now and back across the start-finish line to complete lap number 3. Fastest lap on that lap goes to Neil Meelan on the number 101.
Yep. Oh, that was
Ollie
Ollie
Sims.
Sims down in the off-road. So that's the number 73 who was currently sat in 6th place. He's had an error there. He's dropping down our order. So that has promoted Harvey Ward, Michael Craig and Adrian Dealey up our order. But it's still all eyes on Norbury as they make their way through this tarmac section. And like you say, this is where Norbury really does carry that speed. So is he able to hang on to the back of Meelan as they go into this off-road section?
Well, as we said, it looks like Norbury just catches up a little bit in the tarmac there. I mean, he's right on the rear wheel now, and it's down to about 4 bike lengths or so as they go into the dirt section. We'll try and have a look as to what the gap may be when they come out of that dirt section. But both riders going outside, then inside. And Neil Meelan just a little bit more comfortable in the dirt and over the jumps, it seems, as Norbury this time, no such dramas. And there's Ollie Sims, so a waved yellow in the exit of the dirt section for the number 73 of Ollie Sims. But again, that gap that was 4 bike lengths has opened up now to around about 10 as they make their way out of Farm Bends and across the start-finish line.
Yeah, I really feel for Ollie Sims there where he's gone down in our off-road. So heading up that step up, it is deceptively steep there, so he'll be really struggling to remount on board that Honda. He has managed to, and there he is just going down our start-finish, but it has taken him almost a lap. So here is on screen still 101 Meelan leading us from Norbury, but the gap across the line was only 0.8 seconds. And again, Norbury eats right into that through this chicane section here in the infield, all over the back wheel of Neil Meelan. But as we've seen, it is incredibly difficult to pass through these tight twisties that we've got here in this paddock section. But again, he's all over the back of him as they go into the off-road. But this does seem to be where the 101 does have the advantage on the 26.
Certainly does, carries a little bit more speed, and it's all about comfort brings confidence, and the more confident you are, the quicker you go, and that seems to be the case at the moment. And that's not to say that Mike Norbury is not confident at all, just that Neil Meelan seems a little bit more at home in the dirt.
Yeah, he definitely does, and on board that Goon Squad Racing Husqvarna, he is just able to keep the 26 of Norbury behind him, and it is sort of like a yo-yo around here. We keep seeing the same gap as they come out across the start-finish, but they have managed to pull away from the number 58 of Craig Forshaw there in 3rd place. So they are leaving him behind, and he's going to come under threat from the 59 of Dan Billam very shortly if he's not careful. So Forshaw on that last lap doing a 1:17, which in comparison to Billam's 1:16 has closed that gap down to less than a second between them.
So if you're Mike Norbury in this position, Danielle, do you go for the inside then the outside option line, or do you just play it safe and just follow what the man in front's doing?
I think Norbury doesn't really have the confidence to try the inside to outside. At the minute, he's trying to get alongside him as they head towards this tarmac. And is he able to? He is. He outbrakes him on the entrance to the off-road. And I think that was going to be the way that Norbury would make a pass. It would have to be on the tarmac. But Meelan retaliating, so they're side by side as they go across that jump and nearly bashing bars. So extremely close racing, but it is Meelan back out in front, and that's allowed Forshaw now to tag onto the back of them as well. Yeah,
he may have shown his cards a little bit too early there. Has the number 26 of Mike Norbury, but he's had a lot of success in racing away from SuperMoto, but looking to apply that now in this race. All of that experience and talent and racecraft, and Meelan goes wide around Farm Bends, and that will really work in favour of Mike Norbury because he's got the drag on him and he's in the slipstream as they come past the start-finish line. So he's trying to go side by side as they head towards Mere Hairpin. Norbury on the inside, Meelan on the outside, and it will be Norbury and Meelan going elbow to elbow, but Norbury gets it, and Mike Norbury, the 26, leads the way from the 101 of Neil Meelan.
Norbury there going really deep into Mere Hairpin and almost clipping the barrier on the exit there, but not giving Meelan the chance for that cutback. And it is now Norbury that leads us into this infield section.
Now, this is where we'll see Mike Norbury's tarmac skill come to the fore, because he's got clear track in front of him. Neil Meelan will be looking to kind of match what Norbury does during the tarmac, because he knows that he's a little bit quicker in the dirt as well.
Yeah, so if Norbury's able to extend that lead through the tarmac section, he'll hopefully give himself the buffer for the off-road, where he's not quite as strong as Meelan. So this time, Meelan not able to come alongside him as they make their way over that tabletop. So it is still Norbury out in front as they opt for that outside to inside line up the step up, and it is still Norbury that leads. So he'll now try and cut back nice and tight to not allow the 101 to be able to show a wheel. Looks like we may have had a pass there for third place. I think that was a flash of orange from the 59 of Dan Billum as we came out of the off-road section there. So we'll have to see as he crosses the line. It is. So the novice rider of Dan Billum has managed to make a pass on our Automotive Solutions rider, Craig Forshaw there. So that promotes him up to third place and provisionally puts him on pole for our final B race of the day.
I don't think Craig Forshaw was too happy about that one. He tried to find his way through already, and that's the best thing to do, is retaliate as soon as possible and just upset the rhythm of your opponent. But Dan Billum, he's got it all under control, and he's right there with Neil Meelan as well, so it could well be a four-way fight for the race lead. So through the right-hander in the middle of the paddock section, then getting the power on, up through the gears, and front wheel pouring up the air for the number 58 of Craig Forshaw, but now hard onto the brakes into the left-hander that brings them into the dirt section once again.
Now, we saw Dan Billum was absolutely no slouch through the off-road in race one, so we'll see which line he opts for here. So he's going inside to outside. So is he going to be able to try and send it up this step up and try and challenge Neil Meelan? He does send it, and you can see just how much time he makes up there as he rejoins with the 101, and he has pulled away from the 58 there just through that one section.
Certainly is, and number 59 Dan Billum, of course, first and second will go through to the Trips UK A race as the last lap flag goes out now. So last lap for this event, and a 1 minute 15.688 for Dan Billum, number 59 on that previous lap.
Yep, so Billum now fastest man on track, and he is hunting down the 101 of Neil Meelan, and he'll know it is now or never if he wants to get himself into that transfer position for our A Group Race 3 later on. And he's putting all the pressure on, and I think it will be a last-minute dive through the off-road section.
Mike Norbury has a 1.1 second advantage over Neil Meelan as they came across the line, but Dan Billum is right there, and he'll know that if he can just make up one more position, he'll be promoted up into the A's as well. But Neil Meelan will be holding on to that with clenched fists.
Yeah, so Billum again going inside to outside, and you can see he's right alongside Meelan, but is Meelan going to be held up by the 26 of Norbury through that inside line? And it's a big send there for Billum, almost getting a 2-for-1 there, with Norbury just managing to close the door on him.
Certainly is, into the left-hander of Farm Benz then, that brings them out onto the right now. So it's a three-way fight with the leading two being promoted up to the A. So as the checkered flag goes out, then it will be Mike Norbury who takes the win ahead of Dan Billum, and then Neil Meelan up next.
Yeah, that was a great pass there for second place from the number 59 of Dan Billum, and that will promote both him and Mike Norbury up to our A group. Here's the battle in the mid-pack. On screen there you can see that is the 99 of Andy Hayes, so he's trying to find a way through on the 111 of Duncan right there, and we've also got the number 164 of Sean Jones there on that cranked up racing KTM. But it looks like Duncan there closing the door, so that was the battle for 11th place there. Crossing the line, that was Sean Rogerson, so our rider that was promoted up from our C Group Race 1. Sean managing a very respectable 14th place there, with the number 16, Tommy Sayer, just behind him in 15th. There he is, just coming across the line now, followed by Dan Spencer and the 97 of Dax Almond.
But Jamie Wrigglesworth, number 98, across the line in 18th position, and I think 19th there, number 44, Daniel Hudson as well. So that's your top 19 all through.
Yeah, so we'll just wait for these riders to make their way back round and through the checkered flag. So that was a A great race. We've got our top 3 from the C's just making their way down the start finish to head back up to our top paddock and get ready for their 3rd race of the day. But there is our results on screen now. So it was the 26 of Mike Norbury taking the win, but only a 0.4 second lead there over the 59 of Dan Billam.
That was close stuff there, wasn't it? But Dan Billam, he really sent it on that final lap. He knew it was now or never, and that means that Neil Meelan will be on pole for the C's, but Mike Norbury and Dan Billam will be promoted to the A race.
Yeah, so it was 3rd place for Neil Meelan, 4th the 58 of Craig Forshaw. Then it was 5th for the newcomer Harvey Ward, and then a 6th place for the 167, the Scotsman of Michael Craig. Then 7th, the Bathmate rider Kevin Crowther's there, and it was an 8th place for the 555 of Adrian Dealey. 9th place went to the 117 of Dave Spafford, with the number 10 rider finishing in 10th place, Paul Reynolds. Our 11th place rider was the 111 of Duncan Wright, and he managed to keep the number 99 of Andy Hayes at bay there for 12th place. It was then 13th awarded to the 164 of Sean Jones, with 14th going to our Race 1C winner Sean Rogerson, with Tommy Sayer taking a well-deserved 15th and Dan Spencer in 16th.
As we have a look then at our Race 2 Group B winners and podium finishers.
Yeah, Mike Norbury there. It was not given to him very easily, that race win, but well deserved. So there is Mike Norbury, Dan Billam and Neil Meelan there, our top 3 for our Race IQ B Group Race 2.